Hey folks, it's your pal Mike Shea from slyflourish.com and twitter.com/slyflourish, here with another episode of Sly Flourish's Lazy D&D Prep. This is a weekly show typically done Sunday mornings, Eastern Standard Time at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But today, and I don't know, for the next, probably maybe every other week for the next few weeks, I may be doing this show on Saturdays at 10 a.m. as well. As I prepare for my Saturday D&D game. In this case, I am running Descent into Avernus. So this is a twice monthly game so far, played online over Discord, as all my games now are played online over Discord. And and we're playing Descent into Avernus. So this show, like all Sly Flourish, fine Sly Flourish projects, are brought to you by the fine backers of Sly Flourish on Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/SlyFlourish, you too can help support this show. The backers of Sly Flourish, the patrons of Sly Flourish, help fund equipment and bandwidth and the new Sly Flourish email newsletter, all sorts of different things, all various little bits of the infrastructure that helps keep shows like this and the blog articles and everything like that going are funded through the support of Patreon, patreon.com/SlyFlourish to help back that. So yeah, 2 weeks ago, I decided, well, a little bit more than 2 weeks ago, I had two groups of friends that wanted to play D&D, and we brought these groups together, and it's five players. And I said, why don't I try? It was like, maybe I could run a one-shot game, or I could try some other stuff. And I decided, I do want to play both of my regular weekly games. Decided to do Eberron, which is great, and we're having a lot of fun with Eberron. If you want to hear more about my Eberron game, you can see this show tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'll be talking about my Sunday Eberron game. So I certainly didn't want to do a third Eberron game. And I thought about doing some one-shots. And I was like, well, I've got this great, Descent into Avernus book, and it's beautiful, and the theme is cool. So why don't I try that? And so that is what we did. Let me put some better artwork up there over here on the right. What do you think? Source Adventure is Descent into Avernus. We'll just put that cover art. The cover art's pretty awesome. There we go. Zariel, she's like, I want my sword. Come back here, sword. The sword's like, I don't want you. I'm flying away. You're mean and stuff. So, so I decided I wanted to play Descent to Avernus. Now, Descent into Avernus is an interesting adventure. Wait, what day is it? It is Saturday. Hey, my mom is here. Hi, Mom. So Descent into Avernus is a weird adventure. Man, my hair is weird too. Or all of our hairs, we're going to all have weird hair, so I guess it doesn't matter. If you go to Amazon and you go to Descent into Avernus, Descent into Avernus has 945 ratings, 90% of which are 5-star, and the remaining 10% are 4 stars. Those are tremendous ratings. And if you go to Curse of Strahd, which is pretty much the most popular D&D adventure, it has almost exactly the same. It's about 100 reviews less, so maybe 10% less in reviews. But it is right. So Navy DM says by a huge margin. Except not that huge if you look at Amazon ratings, right? If you just, that's one measure, and there's like a million reasons to argue against it. But, I think it's one gauge of popularity is how many reviews do you have on Amazon? And what's the ratio of those reviews? So, so Curse of Strahd, which is, I'm pretty sure, the most popular, the most popular of hardcover adventures. What would be another one? Let's do Tomb of Annihilation. Let's do Dragon Heist. Dragon Heist is pretty popular too. What did he Dragon Heist? 677, right? So that's significantly less. Let's do Storm King's Thunder. Let's try that. We're just looking at general popularity. 441. So less than half of Descent into Avernus, right? So that means Descent into Avernus, I will argue that means the marketing worked really well. However, many experienced dungeon masters that I've talked to, at least a half a dozen dungeon masters that I've talked to who have run or been running Wonder how the sales were affected for Wildmount. I don't know. Let's take a look. Let's see how the reviews are for Wildmount. Wow. Only 173 reviews. I think what happened is this book came out and immediately, like, you couldn't get it for weeks. Like, when can I get it? I can get it Monday. Oh, hell. Monday. Yeah. So I guess the shipping on that stuff. But yeah, that's a little surprising. So, what's my point? It is, yeah, so I've talked to a lot of experienced DMs who have run Descent into Avernus and had problems with it. Pretty significant problems, too. So every published adventure has problems. All of them do. I would argue Curse of Strahd has fewer problems than just about any of the hardback adventures. And some of them you can get past and like still are great adventures. So like Tyranny of Dragons, Hoard of the Dragon Queen, the first half of Tyranny of Dragons has this like weird ass 1,000-mile road trip that you take about halfway through the adventure. And a lot of people are like, how do you know, and it's really peculiar how you get in the road trip has to happen almost exactly a certain way. And it's really weird. That's a problem. And Tomb of Annihilation, which I consider to be my second favorite hardcover adventure. I really liked Tomb of Annihilation. I thought it was a great adventure, and I loved how they put it together, and I love the structure. And it had like 3 major problems, and kind of a little bit of a fourth. So I'll give it 4 problems. 4 problems with Tomb of Annihilation. 1, there's no real intro adventure. You just sort of thrown into a city. And, you know, I really like the ones that have an intro adventure. Just a little starter thing that just gets you started in the adventure. There's some great ones in the DM's Guild. So, and you can make your own really easily. I made my own real small adventure to get people started. But I really like it when a hardback adventure, a big campaign adventure, has like a nice intro. Curse of Strahd, of course, has Death House. Death House is great. Many of the other hardback adventures had good intro adventures. Waterdeep Dragon Heist has a great intro adventure. So many of them do, and Tomb of Annihilation did not, and that kind of sucked. 2, the Death Curse, which is this huge deal, is too powerful. It is too. It grows too quickly. It's too dangerous, and it means that if the players were to really react to it the way they should, they wouldn't do any side tracks. There's no way you do anything except for try to stop that Death Curse as fast as you can. Death Curse is probably not a great thing to be talking about right now these days. So it's way better when it sort of scales up. Like there's this grim thing on the horizon, but you don't really know what it is. And it grows as the game grows. It grows as the campaign grows. And then eventually it's like, no, there's this thing and everyone's stopping. And like, you know, ramp up the Death Curse. Keep a dial on how important the Death Curse is and keep it really low in the beginning. So that's the second problem. Third problem is there's a lot of NPCs that can get involved in with the characters, and a lot of them can steer the game in weird directions, or they can overshadow the characters a lot. So keep those NPCs out of the spotlight, have them drop in and drop out of the group. Be really careful about bringing them in. Be really careful about which ones you bring in. So the example is Dragonbait and Artist Simber. They're just super powerful NPCs, and if they join the party, they're just going to kill everything. So it's way better to say, have them drop into the group and have them leave right away. That is the third. So no starter adventure, Death Curse is too powerful, NPCs. And then fourth is the Tomb of the Nine Gods. The final section, the final third of the adventure is so deadly that you're going to have this awesome campaign arc. This one I didn't discover till after I played it. You're going to have this awesome campaign arc with all this good character development, and all the players are going to love their characters, and they will have played them for 8, 9, 10 levels. And then all of a sudden they're killed by a single button press, or they just go to the wrong hall and they're crushed to death. Or they fight a beholder and the beholder disintegrates them. And death in Tomb of Annihilation is permanent. There's no resurrections, there's no raised dead, there's nothing you can do. So when you lose a character, you lose a character. And I had a player who lost 2 characters, right? She had 2 characters that she'd been playing, and she lost both of them. So it kind of sucks. So the way there is dial the lethality back. Go ahead and let people drop to 0. Use the lingering injuries table instead. If the beholder kills somebody with a disintegrate ray, have it burn their arm off, right? Just do something other than wipe out their character so that they can still hang on to their character. Have them return with by the 3 night hags. Have the night hags kind of return them to life instead. They're the only people that can, something like that. So those are the 4 problems with it. But all of those 4 are manageable. And I ran it for 2 groups, and we had a great time. And I really didn't have to tweak that much. There's some things I wish I had tweaked, like not killing a lot of people off. But it was great. So now we have Descent in Avernus, and I think somebody in chat, Dager said, I had problems even reading. I had problems with Avernus just reading it. And I think a lot of people, I've heard of, again, like a good handful of DMs that have run this are kind of scratching their heads at a lot of places. And people who are experienced DMs who have run a lot of games and run a lot of adventures, and they're like, what exactly is going on here? And one of them right off the bat is you have a whole, spoilers, by the way, prepare yourself for spoilers. We're going to be spoiling Descent into Avernus. If you are in my groups or you're playing this adventure, you may not want to hear this, but it'll probably happen pretty soon. In fact, I think it's in the intro of the adventure, which is Elturel, a city that is east. I'm looking at my map on my wall here. East of Baldur's Gate. Is there a scale on there? There's got to be a scale on that map. Where's the scale? I can never find a scale on the map. Elturel, it's like a week. It's like a 10-day away from Baldur's Gate. Disappears. It is ripped into hell. There's this floating radiant orb that floats over the city, and the orb turns black, and then great cracks appear in the ground, and the whole city falls into the depths of hell. And all that's left is a crater. That is awesome, right? Like, whoa, that's a big deal. It happens off screen. And in the adventure itself, it's already happened. And you're at the front gates of Baldur's Gate with a bunch of refugees trying to get into the city. And immediately Flaming Fist mercenaries are being pains in your ass. So it's a really weird start to the adventure. And then the adventure goes heavily into this hunting down of the Dead Three, cultists of the Dead Three. And you spend a lot of time with that. And then you start to sort of get into the adventure. And then it's about 5th or 6th level, or you actually kind of know what's going on. And you actually descend into Avernus and deal with what's going on there. And anyway, many people had problems with the idea that the most monumental event that happens in this adventure happens off screen. And their solution for it was a lot of people wrote DM Guild adventures in which you see it. So the Adventurers League did it. Fall of Elturel, which I'm going to talk about now, they did it. And I think there's at least 1 or 2 other adventures that said, hey, we have a different introduction to this adventure, and it starts with you witnessing Elturel falling into hell. I think the Adventurers League one, it happens right away. I argue, of all the ones that I've read, Fall of Elturel seemed to have the best way of showing that. Drager says, I don't mind that Elturel happens off screen. Good for you. Go with the gods. We all have different opinions on it, but I certainly did. I was like, to me, it's like the special effects budget for seeing something like that is so high, and we're in such a unique position to be able to describe that. And I'll tell you, it worked really, really well for my group. I had one of my players got teary-eyed, and I've never had that happen. So to me, that was a big deal. And Fall of Elturel is an outstanding introduction for it. So this I'm gonna plug it right here. You can get it on the DMs Guild if you search for Baldur's Gate Fall of Elturel. I will have it in the show notes. Written by Anthony Joyce and Justice Armand. I think Anthony. I can't remember if it was Anthony. I think Anthony was in our chat last. Week talking about it, and it was great. So, and he gave me some very good tips for running it, and those tips worked really, really well. So yes, I ran it last week for my group, and so we started our group off, and we didn't do a session 0 because I really wanted to sort of jump into the game itself. I wasn't sure if this is going to be like a one shot or anything else, so I want to try it. I need a drink. Hang on. Running adventures in hell is thirsty work. So this is a short adventure. And last week he gave me permission to kind of flip through it on stream. And and it's not a long adventure. And it essentially starts, it has a really good, things are running slow. Browser window's running slow. And I don't know why. Heavy CPU use or something. So it is a short adventure. It starts at level 1. You start in Elturel. You have some choices of factions, and we ended up going with the Hell Riders. I said, wouldn't it be cool if the characters were Hell Riders? So they're all Hell Riders. Their boss is Gideon Lightward, but they're being commanded by a young woman who is a very strong sort of Joan of Arc style character, and there is a council meeting going on, and Duke Uldar Ravengard of Baldur's Gate, he's the current High Duke of Baldur's Gate, he's there, but the head of Elturel is not there. And he's like, what in the hell is going on? Where is this guy? Like, we have major problems going on. We were going to have an alliance, and now he doesn't show up for his own meeting? Like, this is crazy. Like, my city's falling into hell back there, right? Metaphorically speaking. But it's actually falling in there, physically speaking. So he's really pissed off. But he says, look, I brought intelligence that there are cults that are around in our city, and they're ruining our city, but they are also around Elturel. And here's the information. You go find them for yourselves. And he gives it to the head of the the Hell Riders, who gives it to the young woman, who gives it to you guys and says, go hunt these cultists down and let's see if we can find them, and maybe we can bring them in, and that can help with this whole thing. So the characters go around, and they had a couple of great sort of NPC things. They got involved in a wedding. They helped a young girl who was trapped in a tree by hellish wolves. So I already had sort of like little hellish things happening in the outskirts. And the girl had this like rainbow scarf, beautiful rainbow scarf, and she was this nice young woman. And the characters got involved with her. And then they found the areas where they found one of many different sacrificial areas where cults of the dead three were sacrificing people. And the funny thing is they were sacrificing former cultists of the dragon. So that was kind of neat. And somebody said like, yeah, we got like 4 different kind of cultists going on here, but it was kind of cool. And they were sort of getting interact. So they fought the cultists. That was really hard because they're first level, and they defeated the cultists. They went back, they met their NPC, whose name escapes me. And they're all standing there, and they said, well, let's go back to Elturel and tell them what happened. And they turn, and that's when the cracks form in the city. And they look at the companion, which is that light that's hanging over the city, and the companion turns black. One of the characters is a warlock who is connected to the companion. The companion is her patron. And all of a sudden she felt this emptiness, this blackness fell in her. And the whole city fell into hell, right? And they watched it happen. And then we clipped 10 days later, and they're already in they were outside of Baldur's Gate. They had received a note from their patron. What's her name? Let me get her name here. Rhea Mantlemorn. And Rhea said, meet me at the inn, whatever, I forget the inn is in Baldur's Gate. Meet me at the inn. I know who did it, and we're going to bring vengeance to them. So the idea here is that Rhea believes that the Cult of the Dead 3 destroyed Avernus, that it is gone, or not Avernus, they destroyed Elturel, and it's gone, right? And she wants vengeance more than anything else. And she says it was those cultists, right? They were committing those sacrifices around the city. There were more than just the ones we saw. They succeeded, and they destroyed it. And now they're doing the same thing in Baldur's Gate. And we're going to wipe those bastards off the face of the planet. We're going to, the Cult of the Dead 3 are going to go where their gods are, which is dead. And so that's where we ended the adventure last time. And that is where we are picking it up this time. So yeah, I cannot recommend enough Fall of Elturel as a good introduction to Descent into Avernus. And so the lack of showing, and I know that not everybody agrees, but the lack of seeing Elturel fall, and I would argue, even if you say, okay, well, it's fine that it happens off screen, but the idea that you start with a bunch of refugees heading into Baldur's Gate, like it was weird, right? It was kind of a weird start. And no real direction about why you're there. And then the only motivation to sort of get you involved is, well, the Flaming Fist mercenaries will kill you if they don't. And you're like, hey, why don't you take those guys that would come and kill us and have them go hunt the Cult of the Dead 3? Like, we're first level, for crying out loud. So there's but if you have like a motivation about why, and so I have this strong motivation that Rhea, your boss, who's now head of the Hell Riders, she's saying, we know who did it, and we're going to go kill him, right? We're going to find out exactly what they did, but we're going to go kill him. And that, to me, is a good, strong hook to begin with. So, yeah, so I really can't recommend this adventure enough. Oh, yeah, so knowing that Descent into Avernus has problems with its story structure doesn't mean the rest of it is not useful. So it's a big book with a lot going on in there, and it's got beautiful art and really cool maps and design. And I know that it has a lot of story structural issues, but I'm hoping that those are relatively fixable. And in my head, I can already kind of see the directions that it's going. I can already, and I don't think that they are far off. So if we think about it at a large scale, if we expand our view from beginning to end of this whole campaign and say, what's it about? It's about saving Elturel, right? That the goal of the adventure is save Elturel. And okay, so that gives us a nice 2-word goal. I love 2-word goals for campaigns. And I love that the characters will know like that's our job, and they will know that probably by the end of today's session, if not the next session. Really, Elturel isn't destroyed, it's trapped, and it's trapped in hell. And there's only us, right? And we can go down there and try. No one's going to bother to save it. Everyone's got their own problems. And we can go down there and save it, right? I think that is a powerful, I think that is a really powerful drive for the adventure. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, first they have to find out that Elturel is down there and that it needs to be saved. And so this is where we get into, sure, the Cult of the Dead 3 is down there. The Cult of the Dead 3 is causing a lot of problems at Baldur's Gate, but they're not actually the problem. The real problem, and let's go to, we'll go back to my return screen here, and we'll go over to here, and we'll go over to Descent into Avernus. The real problem you have are these, is that one of the dukes and her family, the Vanthempers, that the Vanthempers are making the same pact with hell that Thavius Krieg did. And they are going to pull Baldur's Gate into hell as well. And they're doing so because there is a poison seed that exists inside. There's a poison seed that exists inside Baldur's Gate. And this poison seed is what is, it's almost as powerful as the companion, though it was buried under the city for a long time. It has been recovered. And since its recovery, it has caused great problems in Baldur's Gate. And with the right rituals, it can pull Baldur's Gate into hell, just as Elturel was pulled into hell. And that is the shield that has the demon trapped inside of it. I think this is all here. Great artwork, huh? And that's what I mean. Like the artwork and stuff is great. So, man, I got beeping going on. Hang on a sec. I think I could just turn my volume all the way down. Do that. Then I'll wonder why my audio isn't working. So, shield, the shield of the hidden lord, right? And the shield of the hidden lord is actually is a prison for a pit fiend named Gargoth. And over time, Gargoth's presence is tainting Baldur's Gate, is ruining Baldur's Gate. And the characters have to, need to learn, like, we got to get rid of this shield. We got to get it out of Baldur's Gate. And frankly, I think we should bring it to, I know someone in Candlekeep who might be able to help, right? So this kind of gets you, like, I'm in my mind, I already have a thread of how this is going to go from, which is the tier 1 of this. Go into Baldur's, they're already level 2. They've already saw Elturel fall. Now level 2 to 3 is deal with the Cult of the Dead 3. 3 to 4 is deal with the Vanthempers. What are they called? I was just looking at their names. Yeah, the Vanthempers, right? And then 4 to 5 is get the shield and get it to Candlekeep. And then about tier 2, 6th level, is when they will drop into Elturel. And then there's a whole section, and I'm not even worrying about that part yet, right? Because now I've got like the next 4 sessions already planned out. But they go to Elturel, they deal with Elturel. So then now I'm going to expand my view a little bit more and say, now what do? Well, they go to Elturel, they figure out what the situation is with Elturel, and they learn that Elturel is bound to hell by these massive chains. And only like a godly like force can break these chains. Like they are not going to be broken. And we need to find a way to break the chains. And then it's like, okay, well, they'll have to learn about what could break the chains. And that is a quest unto itself. And then what they'll learn is that there's essentially a couple of ways that the chains can be broken. And they need basically the power of a god. And one of them, and maybe they get through prophecy, they don't know exactly how, but they learn that there is a prophet or a champion of Tiamat named Archon the Cruel, who is living in a tower right now. and he would know how to break the chains and could give a deal for that. Bel, the former Lord of Hell, he knows how to break the chains. And third, Zariel herself knows how to break the chains, right? And in 2 of those 3, they need to recover the sword of Zariel. And then the other one is they would have to find out, they have to work with Archon the Cruel to essentially release Tiamat, and Tiamat could break the chains herself. So there's like 3 different paths that characters can take. They'll learn about these paths. They'll decide which one they want to go for, and then the adventurer will head down that path. They will head down that path, do what those guys need to do, get the chain, figure out how to break the chains, and then adventure's over. So that to me is sort of the main arc of the adventure. And I don't know that matches exactly what's in the book pretty closely. I think there's other sort of paths about chain breaking. There's some stuff with demons, Kodos Chi, I think the big giant demon. I think there's something about that. And there's lots of like side adventures they can get involved with on the way. But to me, the main deal is like save Elturel. You save Elturel by breaking the chains. In order to break the chains, you need to learn how to break the chains. And you also need to learn that is the case in the first place. And you need to get into hell. And that means you need to shield. You need to save Baldur's Gate. You need to kill the Dead 3. So I'm working backwards. So that to me is like the arc, right? And the nice thing about that arc is it has some major choices in it, which is like which one of these 3 paths do you want to take to try to break the chains, right? Like you're going to have to work with either Bel or Archon the Cruel or Zariel. Who do you want to work with, right? Who do you think you can work with? And there could be some interesting ones, like can you save Zariel, right? They'll know by this point that Zariel was the leader of the Hell Riders, an angel that led the Hell Riders into hell and then made a pact with Asmodeus to fight demons, right? And she has done so. So that to me is an interesting path. Yeah, Navy DM says the Hell section takes a lot of extra work too. Yes, I've heard that. I'm hoping that if I have the arc in my mind, I can just sort of harvest what's in that section. I'm not going to run it the way it's described in that section. I am going to have my own arc, but I'm going to pull material from it. So I will probably, I expect that the book is going to offer me less than like obviously Curse of Strahd, or Tomb of Annihilation or things like that. But it will, I think that I'm going to harvest it for big chunks. I'm going to use the dungeons that are in there. I'm going to use the locations that are in there. I'm going to use some of it. And I'm going to have the arcs in my mind that make the most sense. So I don't have to follow, and none of us do. We don't have to follow it with the way the adventure is written. Instead, we can go in and we can throw our own framework over the top and hopefully still capitalize off of like the fantastic art and a lot of the cool ideas and a lot of the themes and a lot of the other sort of things that are in there. The dungeons, like, give me a good dungeon filled with stuff and I can write I can write a framework around it. So even as a lazy DM, I think that this adventure, I'm hoping, right? And I'm very eyes wide open when I'm reading people's reviews and reading DM David Hartledge is talking about it. Merrick Blackman is talking about it. I'm paying a lot of attention to what they're saying to understand how we get the most out of this adventure. I am hoping that it is more, I'm almost certain it's easier than if I was to try to make something up on my own. And I'm betting that it'll, maybe it's Curse of Strahd level of, not Curse of Strahd, Storm King's Thunder. I had to do a lot of work with Storm King's Thunder, and maybe even Out of the Abyss, right? And certainly like the latter half of Tyranny of Dragons, I did a lot of that myself. So I'll bet you it's about the same amount of effort that it took me to get Rise of Tiamat, the second half of Tyranny of Dragons. I'll bet you it's about that as much work as it was there. Only I have a lot of material in this book that I can harvest for stuff. So that's my hope, and that's where I think it's going. It is 30 minutes in. Let us go over to our Sublime window, and let's take a look at, I think, do I have Fall of Elturel in here? I don't, so I'm going to stick that at the end. Just remind myself that I've got this in here. Important that people have, let's see, I've been ignoring chat. Yeah, have the players feel invested in the air before it goes to crap. Yep, that worked really well for me. Shockingly weak hook. Can't imagine. Yep, the whole like, hey, do it or the Flaming Fist mercenaries will beat your ass. WotC has not always listened to playtesters. Word almost everyone warned of Healing Spirit, and it still got published. That's interesting. I didn't know that there was a lot of warnings about Healing Spirit before it went out. Hell section takes a lot of extra work. Best way to go. Yeah. So it sounds like everybody, Defense and Avernus feels like an organ donor book. Less like a useful adventure, which is fine. But the book isn't organized that way. If I have to MacGyver a campaign from a published book, why not use the book that's designed to be used that way, like Wildmount? Yeah, right. And I think it's because they expected it was a good adventure, right? And I think I've given my theory before about what I think happened and why it ended up this way. And I have a feeling that the marketing team got involved with the book, that they were trying to coordinate this book with the Baldur's Gate video game announcement. And they did so, and they kind of shoehorned Baldur's Gate into it. If you think about it, like every other book has like a nice 3-word name, like Descent into Avernus. I always thought that Dragons of Waterdeep was a better name than Waterdeep Dragon Heist, but whatever. No one asked me. And, and then all of a sudden you have Baldur's Gate, Descent into Avernus. That's weird. So I think that they were trying to do some markety sort of tying it together. And that meant there was like this rapid, like, hey, let's jam a bunch of Baldur's Gate stuff in the beginning. And, it's sort of like you stuff that in there, and then the back end sort of cracks because now they have less page space maybe. And then they're kind of like reworking things in the middle, so I have a feeling that is, I have a feeling that there was major structural problems that happened late in the production of that adventure. That's my theory. I don't have data to back any of that up. Anyway, whatever. The other thing is, like, we can complain about it, but here it is, right? And hopefully Wizards of the Coast is listening to the complaints, and then when they're doing future adventures, they are less, they're done with a better production style, and you know what you get from beginning to end, and they're, I don't know, like, yeah, hopefully they do a better job of future adventures and make them more playable right out of the book. But you never know. And I'd argue about 50-50 they get it right. I haven't gotten as much excited for... Yeah, something happened. Somebody said I haven't gotten much excited for each of the adventures after Tomb of Annihilation. I think that they changed a lot of how they were making adventures after that. And I think it hasn't been for the better. That's my opinion, right? I kind of agree. I think that... they changed how they were producing adventures back then, and that was a problem. So it's a little bit of a bummer. But hopefully they fix it. In the meantime, like, as I say in my Discord channel, don't let Wizards of the Coast determine your happiness, right? We own the game. It's our books. It's in the SRD. We can write our adventures all day long. We never have to ask anyone's permission to make our own adventures. We don't have to ask anyone's permission to make our adventures and sell them. And there are many third-party publishers that are making really amazing stuff. I had a big stack of PDFs I was looking through yesterday, and there's some amazing stuff out there that's coming out that isn't from Wizards of the Coast. So, there's lots of, that Fall of Elturel, right? Fantastic product. So there's lots of ways to go. I hope Wizards of the Coast makes awesome products. They certainly spend a lot of money on it. And just from the sheer amount of production they put into the book, you want it to be good because you're like, look, if $50 gives me a book like that, I want everything out of it. Like, that'd be great. Anyway, yeah. So we're going to try to squeeze as much as we can out of the book. So last time I did not have characters. So let's talk about the characters. So we have Xenon. Xenon is played by Dan. He is a half-orc fighter. This is Dan's like third or fourth D&D game. So he's pretty new to it, and he's doing a good job of like picking a straightforward character with a clear, a nice clear motivation. He's a half-orc fighter. He doesn't reveal much about his past. It's kind of a dark past. He's been a soldier in the military. He's always keeping an eye on Rhea, right? Like he and Rhea, he's fought with Rhea before, and Rhea knows him. A lot of it was like, how are you tied to Rhea, and how are you tied into the Hell Riders? We have Moradin, who's also the name of the dwarven god, which I think is kind of funny. Moradin is a hill dwarf cleric. Hadn't met Rhea before, but is in the Hell Riders. Because of her. A small clan of hill dwarves were under attack, and he was trying to save the forge, and the Hell Riders went and helped save his dwarven compatriots from whatever they were fighting. And so he joined. I think he either joined the Hell Riders or he's been following the Hell Riders. We have Kara Bast. This is a Tabaxi monk played by Sharon. She doesn't bathe. She eats water. She is part of a female royal family. She was visiting the city and was told to kind of go and explore the outside world. And she's been spending a lot of time in Elturel, and particularly with the Hellriders. We have Tenacity, played by my wife, Michelle, a tiefling warlock. The Hellriders got her out of a scrape, and her patron, she suddenly discovered that she was getting powers, and that her powers were coming from the companion. So very strong hook into the adventure, given what happened with the companion. So she still has her powers, but there's like this hole that exists. We have Lev, played by Chris. Lev is an elf wizard practicing to become a blade singer, learned magic along the way. He is, has a firm background in history and arcana. I don't need text messages right now. Thank you very much. And learned magic, history and arcana, and is learning the history of the Hellriders. And has like in his discoveries, has like found out that there's like gaps in the history. Like what exactly happened to the Hellriders is not super strong. So so that is interesting. So those are the characters in our game today. We have our strong start. Where is the game going to begin? So the game is going to begin at the bar. I know that. Where's my Descent into Avernus, right? So we go to Elf Song Tavern, right? We're going to kind of start exactly where we began. And I think, bar, you can't go wrong starting with a bar fight. That might not be so bad. So I think in the bar, there's this whole like, hey, I need you to handle these, this guy that's coming after me. But I think like the better deal is that they just approach her, right? And they say like, time for you to go down. You come outside with us, or we're going to take you down. And I think, I think we're just going to throw the bandits at them, right? Bandit captain's a little hard at second level. So I think we're going to have a bunch of bandits. We'll probably do, how many bandits is good? 5? 5 bandits is probably fine. Including like a pseudo bandit captain, or a thug, right? 5 bandits and a thug. And they are going after Tarina. They want to kill Tarina. That kind of happens second, though. What happens first is Revenge Against the Dead 3. They've been seen entering the bathhouse at night. Particularly a member of their group. Let's go to our names. Names. Nereus Foecaster. Go with Nereus Foeblade. Foeblade? Foe Hunter. Foe Hunter is a good one. Nereus Foe Hunter. Capital. Nereus Foe Hunter, a noble, right? He's a follower of, is he, what could he, probably of Merkel. So now they know, they'll learn about, let's see, I gotta put this up here. Lars Flametongue will be the leader. He is the leader of the 5 bandits, and then I can always steal more names as we go. So the Dead 3, and this is the sort of secrets, right? And this is a false secret. The Dead 3 caused the fall of Elturel. The Dead Three are conducting the same rituals in Baldur's Gate that they were around Elturel. The Sons of Vathamper, I always get their names mixed up. Oh, there it is. It's right there. The Sons of Vathamper were seen with the leaders of the Cult of the Dead Three. That's a secret. We have the Sons worked with the Cult of the Dead Three to dig into an ancient tomb about 6 months ago. Brought something out. The cultists worked with the Vathamper sons, were murdered. No one knows what they got. Whatever they pulled of the tomb now resides in Vathamper Villa. The item, a seed of evil that threatens to drag Baldur's Gate into hell, just as Elturel was. Whoops. How many secrets is that? I got 3 more. It's always the final 3. Like, I can always whip 7 out without any difficulty at all. Item is a seed of evil. So what other secrets do we have? What's her name? So who is the head of the Vathampers? Thalmara Vathamper, right? And isn't she is a duke of Baldur's Gate, and got it after the previous duke, Duck I say, as the previous duke was murdered when a Baalspawn. What are those called? The Sons of Baal, the previous ancestors of Baal. I'm not sure Baalspawn is right. When the previous duke wasn't murdered, turned out a Baal spawn, and another was murdered, right? Thalmara Vathamper is consolidating power. She soon will have the Flaming Fist either disbanded or under her control. Thavius Krieg is being held by Thalmara Vathamper. Those are some good secrets, right? I think that sort of ties everything together. You have these threads of Thavius Krieg, the former head of Elturel, was seen at the Vathamper estate. You have the Sons of Vathamper had hired on or brought on the Cult of the Dead 3 to dig something out of a tomb, that thing being the shield. You have, so certainly, and so my game today is a 4-hour game. So I need a little bit more than I typically have for like my 3-hour games. 4 hours to me is like 8 good scenes. If I have 8 good scenes ready to go, I'm pretty happy. And I think like, even with what's in the book and these secrets, I already feel pretty solid about it, right? I already feel like I've got it going. So we have Revenge at Elf Song, bloody battle at Elfsong, the bathhouse, the Dungeon of the Dead 3. That's a big long thing. And then we have the heist at the Vathenpur estate. Right. So I've got, and I, scenes, I say 5, but the bathhouse and the Dungeon of the Dead 3 is huge, right? There's a many room thing. In fact, we should probably take a look at those. Fantastic locations in the book. I'm not going to worry too much about fantastic locations. I think Duke Thalmar Vathenpur. Oh, I need the sons, right? So I don't really need... I'm going to keep Gideon in there because I have trouble remembering him. But as far as Oldar Ravengard, I'll keep him in, whatever. Thirstwell. We have Thirstwell Vathenpur. Man, I'm never going to be able to spell this name. Oh, no, I guess it's Amric and Mortlock, right? So there's 3 sons of Vathenpur. I wonder if I'm pronouncing Vanthenpur. Mortlock is a monstrous dolt. He's not the brains. Amric is what? Is Amric the smarter of the two? Oh, there's this whole thing, and maybe this gets in there before they go to, I don't know what the connection will be, but there's that whole, what is it called? It's that other location. This place here. Oh, there's Amric. What is he? Is he kind of an assassin? Yeah. So he's the smarter one. He's the face of the family. Right? And then Thirstwell is the brains. And I kind of like that maybe Thirstwell, and I don't know, I haven't read it, right? But I think Thirstwell might make a good player. He might work with the players. He's like, look, we did wrong, bad stuff here. So Low Lantern. So they're going to learn about the Low Lantern. If we go back up here. And what's the deal? Why would they come here? I don't know that I have to worry too much about it, but I guess the question is, just quickly reading up on this thing. And my characters are going to be probably one level above all of this stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do this. I'm not sure. It's kind of cool to have a big boat, and you get to kind of go up on the boat and deal with Amric. So I don't know. I'll keep it handy, and maybe we'll come back to that. But I've got enough scenes, and like I have a feeling like we'll probably get, maybe we get to the end of the Dungeon of the Dead 3. I'm not sure before we figure out what's going on. And Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So I don't have to worry about fantastic locations. I don't have to worry about NPCs. Monsters, those are also in the book, so I don't have to worry about that. You know, so in a lot of cases, like it's helping, right? Playing this published adventure is helping. This is not. I feel like I mean, we'll see when I run it, but I feel like I'll have enough to go with. This treasure I already gave out. I'll just put previous. And I can come up with treasure, so I'm not too worried about treasure. One other thing I have sitting in here are a couple of, this is in the whole vein of how to play D&D over Discord, is I have a couple of macros that I set up here. The first one is how to roll initiative for all of the characters plus a monster very quickly. I can feed this in, and then I just type exclamation mark roll init, and it rolls initiative for all the characters and the monsters all at once. And then the initiative is ready to go. And that way, none of the players have to do anything. I don't even have to ask for roll initiative. It just works. And so far, I haven't had any group. I think there's a little bit of grumbling, but I don't think people care about initiative that much. It's not that big a deal. And it's so swingy anyway. Like, you're still rolling a d20 and you're adding like 1 or 2 or 3, right? Like, it's not a big deal. So to me, having initiative just really fast so that, you don't have to sort of break the situation. You can just say, here we go. So it's kind of funny. I'm not used to not saying roll initiative. I'm not used to just doing it, but it works. It works pretty well. So I think that works well. And then the other one is I started adding music. One of my players said that she missed having music, and I said, let me take a look. And there's a plugin called Groovy. It's a bot for Discord called Groovy, and it plays from YouTube or Spotify and some other things. It doesn't play like local music, which kind of sucks. So you have to have like a YouTube, playlist or song or something like that. And so I found some tabletop audio tracks that are on YouTube, and I set up some things so that I can quickly play those tracks, and that works pretty well. So I just stuck those in here as well. So that is it. I haven't been looking at chat recently. A lot of people talking about a lot of adventures. Everybody thinks that my theory is probably sound. I'm going to port Fall of Elturel into a VTT, just start running it online in a series of one-shots. That works. That's pretty well. I mean, I don't know if Fall of Elturel works as a one-shot, because it's like you want it to, it's a campaign introduction. So I don't know. If you need a one-shot, have I got a book for you right here, And by the way, I'll give a plug right at the end of the show. The digital version of Ruins of the Grendleroot, wherever you buy it, whether you buy it on PayPal or you buy it on DriveThruRPG, now includes all of the maps that you would need to port it into a virtual tabletop. So if you want to play it digitally, all the maps are there, and you can use them however you want. They're all part of the package now. It's about 100 megabytes worth of maps and art. It's all the character art, it's all the internal artwork as JPEGs, and it's the maps that have already been scaled so that you can drop them right into like Roll20, or I think into Fantasy Grounds as well. So so that's now part of the package. And if you were a backer of the Kickstarter, you already have all that stuff. It came in the package. So if you don't know where that is, look through your backer emails or go back on the Kickstarter, look in your messages, click the link, and you'll see the link that lets you download that stuff. If you bought it previously on PayPal, you should have received an email with an update that said, hey, you can, there was about, not a ton of people bought it that way. So it's like 150 people. You could go and click the link and download it again. If you don't get it that way, if you bought the digital version of Grendleroot and you can't find anything, and you've looked for a while and you still can't find it, let me know on Twitter or send me an email, and I'll get you hooked up. But and if you bought it on a drive-thru, you can go back to the drive-thru page, log in with the same one you bought it, and you'll look at if you go to the product page or you go to your library, you'll see that there's a link for art maps, and you can download all the art maps. So if you're looking for one-shot games to play, there's 10 one-shot adventures in Ruins of Grendleroot. It's $15 for the PDF. That includes PDF, EPUB, and now all the digital assets to run on a virtual tabletop. So I wanted to do that to make it easier for people to play. I got mine digitally hand-delivered from Sly Flourish himself. That's true. Evil John. And there's a reason why. I emailed Evil John we were at PAX Unplugged, right? I met him at PAX Unplugged. And he was the first backer of Ruins of the Grendleroot. And therefore, it was my pleasure to email him the link to the rewards at PAX Unplugged, which was about a week before anyone else had a copy. And that was because I didn't want to release, it was ready to go, but I didn't want to release it and then go to a convention and have things get all dorked up. So yeah, that worked well. And yeah, Navy DM said I ran Rat in the Cellar for him. Yeah, so Rats in the Cellar is now, that's something I forgot to mention on Patreon. Rats in the Cellar, which is now known as Regnum Ratus, is a free adventure for Patreon backers. So if you are a backer of Sly Flourish on Patreon, you too, let's see if I can find it. Hang on a second. Rats in the Cellar. Oh, come on. I saw it, and then, search, man. Search sucks. So, I don't know why desktop search sucks so bad. It shouldn't suck that bad. Give me a second. There we go. I can't find it, man. This sucks. Anyway, yeah. So, oh, there it is. Hang on. I found it. Got to make a new tab window here. Rats in the Cellar. Bang. Is that showing up? No, it's not, because I'm on my other channel. Let me flip back. Bang. Regnum Ratus, the Rats in the Cellar. This is a 1 to 5 adventure made for short sessions and short scenarios in which you go through the haunted and lost tunnels beneath an inn that is now held by an old friend. And so you go through all these weird chambers and everything like that and get in all kinds of zany adventures. So yeah, it is a full adventure. I think it's about 10 pages long. It has art that I got from DriveThruRPG, and it's got a map from Daniel Walthall. It's awesome. There's some cool art there. And So it even has like how to expand it out. I always love this sort of like how to expand it out. So if you are a backer of Sly Flourish, this is exclusive to backers of Sly Flourish on Patreon. Everybody that backs Sly Flourish on Patreon gets a free copy of this adventure. Five first level characters, taking them up to 5th level. So nice tier 1, fun little tier 1 short adventures. Also perfect for online play. Designed to be played anywhere, but could certainly play well online. It is meant to be sort of theater of the mind. I've run it theater of the mind, so you don't really need maps for a 3D tabletop thing. But enjoy. So I think that we're all set. I'm pretty happy with it. I have about an hour before the game, no, a little bit more. So I'm probably going to just sit and read through the adventure itself and sort of toy with it. But even from just hammering out these notes, if I go back to my notes, I feel pretty good. I think it'd be fine. And I like where the adventure is going. I like the ideas I have in mind. I think that I can pilfer and harvest. I think I can get past, like, I'm paying attention to where things are weird. My friend Enrique was like, what's up with Archon and this orb? And does he want it or not? And it's like weird motivation for characters. I'm happy just having a map. You give me a map and some nice art, I'm pretty happy. So, so I think we're all set, and I think we're ready to go. So I want to thank everybody for coming on to the stream today. I appreciate all of the feedback, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I will be back here again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, talking about my Eberron game. So I'm not even thinking about Eberron right now. I'll start thinking about it at about 5 o'clock tonight, and then we will worry about what's happening in my Eberron game tomorrow. So please, I hope you will come back, and hopefully you guys can get out there and play a little bit of D&D. Have a great day.